Welcome to the yoga method. This is part two of our yoga for back pain series. So, part one focused on flexibility and mobility, and part two will focus on core and pelvic stability. If you are suffering with an acute flare up of your back, this is not where we begin. We begin by seeking help from our allied health professionals. This series is more so about maintenance and prevention of lower back pain. So, if you are someone who's naturally quite flexible, this is where I want you to begin. And if you are someone that is quite stiff and struggles with your mobility, then please check out part one for me. When you're ready, the only piece of equipment I'd like for you to have is a block. And if you don't have a block, you could use a ball or you could use a pillow or a rolled up towel. But we're beginning on our backs with the block between our knees. So we use something between our knees to help engage our inner thigh muscles. And when we engage our inner thigh muscles, it helps to connect to our pelvic floor muscles. And our pelvic floor muscles co-contract without any of our doing with our transversus abdominis and our multifidus. So you don't need to remember those muscles, but we want to really use our inner thigh muscles to help create better core stability. So all I'm doing is I'm squeezing in gently on my yoga block, and at the same time I'm pulling up and tightening my pelvic floor muscles, so the muscles that control urine flow. And part three, I'm gently drawing my navel in. So all of this is quite subtle, quite gentle, remembering that postural awareness is number one, postural endurance is number two, and then mobility, flexibility combined with strength are the four pillars to a healthy back. So once again, a little squeeze in, a gentle lifting up through pelvic floor, and a very subtle drawing in of the navel. So when someone is really flared up, this is what we begin with, just isolating these muscles and helping people to reconnect with these muscles. When you're ready, option two, we're going to add a tiny little lift of our tailbone, our pelvis, to help engage hamstrings and glutes as well. So breathing in, articulating the spine all the way up as far as the back will allow. And then as we roll down, it's the upper back, middle back, lower back, and tailbone. Before we rise again, we take that moment to really deliberately reconnect the inner thigh, the pelvic floor, and the lower belly. So even though you think you may still have those muscles perfectly engaged, I encourage you every time you land softly to take just a moment to reconnect and reset those muscles. They're very sneaky, so we think we still have them, and then we check and they've relaxed again. So tucking tailbone, scooping the belly, lifting up. Feel your hamstrings, your glutes, and your core before we gently descend through the upper back, middle back, lower back, and tailbone. Let's do two more. So tucking, rolling, rising. Press through your feet before slowly descending. Maintain the connection to the inner thigh, the core, and your glutes. One more time. Making sure your shoulders are relaxed, your belly is supporting your spine, and your pelvis is supported by your glutes. Once you have safely landed, we're going to remove our block or our pillow or our ball, and I would like for you to press it into your left knee with your left hand, with your left shin parallel to the earth. So again, this idea of working with isometric contractions is where we begin when we have patients that are really sore and aggravated. So I'm pressing my hand into the block. My knee is also pressing into the block. And internally at the same time, I'm engaging my pelvic floor and I'm drawing my lower belly in. So option one, isometrics. Variation two, we would just lift on the in-breath through our right leg and exhale to slowly lower. So what I'd be looking for if I was working with you is there any changes through the abdominal wall as you pick up this leg? So if there's a weakness, the belly will push out. And the other thing I'm always watching for on my patients is there any changes in their lower back? So as they pick up this knee, do they lift and arch through their lower back and push out through their tummy and then land again? So we're trying to keep the core as stable and as still as we possibly can. One more breath to lift and one more breath to gently lower. We'll up to the other side. So stacking your right knee over your right hip. Press your hand into your block. Press your knee into your block. And then engaging through pelvic floor as we gently draw the navel in. If that's feeling good, then it's an inhale to lift through your left leg and an exhale to lower. So these movements look so simple from the outside, but they require a really profound level of connection to our muscles. So we are working from the inside out. So feeling all of the layers working in unison. Breathing. Breathing out, reset, reconnect, breathe in. Breathe out. Let's do 2 more. Full breath in. Gentle breath out. And one more time, pause and hold before gently releasing. Coming back into your bridge, block between your knees. We squeeze in. We feel that our feet are equal. We engage pelvic floor, lower belly, and then we're tucking and lifting skywards. From here, variation 2, we'll just stay at the top, please. So as we deliberately work through the inner seam, I want you to feel in conjunction with your hamstrings and your glutes. And if it feels available on your in-breath, float to the tips of your toes, please. And on your exhalation, lightly land your heels. Breathe in to float to your tippy toes. Breathe out to slowly lower without dropping the pelvis. So inner thigh, hamstrings, glutes, pelvic floor, and abdominals working in unison. And this is what we want our bodies to learn, is that the glutes and the core work in harmony, work in conjunction to keep us feeling strong and stable. There's 3 more of these. So on the in-breath to the tips of the toes, relax your shoulders, release your neck. Exhale to lower. Reset. Feel your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, your core. Gently land. One more time. How strongly can we engage these muscles before gently releasing our heels and then rolling your way down one vertebra at a time. We'll bring our yoga block back to our left knee. And remember, all of this is just stepping stones. Option 1, isometrics. Hand presses, knee presses. We draw in and we hold. Variation 2, we're lifting on the in-breath, exhaling to lower. If you feel any changes through your core or through your back, just readjust. And then variation 3, we're going to start with our right hand at our right knee. On our in-breath, we'll prepare. And on our exhalation, lengthen any amount that your body will allow. Inhaling to return. So how do you know if you've gone too far? You'll feel the muscles popping up rather than staying drawn in. And you might feel your lower back really arching or extending excessively. So finding the perfect range of motion for you. Exhale, pause. Inhale to return, reset. 3 more, please. Exhale to lengthen any amount. Inhaling to return. Last 2, resetting, reconnecting with every repetition. 1 more, please. Chin is in, shoulders relax. Exhale to lengthen. And inhale to return. Release your feet for a moment. Take a gentle tick-tock from side to side with your knees. And when the time is right for you, right hand holding the block on the right thigh. Variation 1, isometric connection. Hand pressing, knee pressing, navel drawing in, pelvic floor lifting up. Variation 2, inhale to float your left knee. Exhale to lightly lower. No changes through the abdominal wall. No changes through your lower back. And variation 3, left hand to left knee. On the in-breath, we prepare. And on the exhalation, we lengthen only as far as we can maintain that beautiful position. So exhaling to lengthen. Pause, hold. Inhale, reset, reconnect, please. So it's not about how long we're reaching. It's about the quality of movement we are creating. So really feel what's unfolding within your abdominals, within your lower back. And we'll take 4 more, please. Exhaling to lengthen. Inhaling to return. Last 3. Reset. Pelvic floor, lower belly. Last 2. And one more time. Exhaling to lengthen, pause and hold before gently returning everything back to the midline. A little tiny rock. So with the back supported, that is by far the gentlest way of strengthening, but maybe not the most functional way of strengthening. We want to always include all of the movement patterns that our spine is designed to do. So flexion, lateral flexion, rotation, extension, all of those movements should be part of our strengthening protocol. So with that in mind, please roll towards me. And let's stack our shoulder over our elbow. And I'd like for you to place the block between your knee with your left hand on your left hip. If I gaze down the line of my body, my shoulder, my hips, and my heels are in one line. So variation 1, we're just pressing down, engaging through the core, pelvic floor. Variation 2, it's a lift through the hips, stabilizing with the hips, and gently lower. So with this lateral type of movement, I'm now accessing glute med, which is the main stabilizer of the pelvis. In our bridging position, we're targeting more so our hamstrings and our glute backs. So in this position, we'll do 2 more. And then I'd love for you to stay for 1 more and just see if you can sustain this position. Maybe taking your left hand high as a lovely distraction and bringing that hand behind your head. Breathe in, and on the exhalation, a little rotation through your spine, but pelvis stays stable as we come back. Exhaling to come down and around. Resting anytime you need. Inhale to return. Exhale, feeling the abdominals working with the hips. Finding connection once again. Taking 4 more, please. Full breath in, reset. Last 3. 2 to go. And one more time. Exhale, gently coming down. Inhale, pause and hold before releasing out of that shape. From there, let's just swing around to the other side. So stacking shoulder and elbow on the left and looking down the length of the body so shoulder, hips, and heels are in one line. We press down to engage the shoulder stabilizers and the obliques. We draw in to feel the other abdominal muscles working. And then from there, it's just a lift of the pelvis and gently lower. Once again, this is one of those really deceiving little exercises. From the outside, it looks so simple. But we are recruiting virtually every muscle as we lift and as we lower. Take 4 more like this, remembering to rest anytime you want. So feeling the hips engaging and gently lowering. Last 2, breath in, breath out. On this last one, pause and hold. Reaching high as we take a breath in And then please bring that hand behind the head. Full breath in to be long. And on the exhalation, gently rolling in. So the pelvis is staying stable, stationary. And we're challenging our core stability by creating slight rotation. But we're also creating some spinal mobility at the same time. Full breath in. Full breath out. Last 4, please. Reset core and hips. Exhale to maintain them. Last 3, full breath in. Full breath out. Last 2, shoulders, core, and hips working. Last one's always the best one. Pause before gently revolving one last time. Inhale, lift, and exhale to lower. So we've done a little bit of rotation, a little bit of hip extension, but we have not done any real spinal extension yet, or back body strengthening, specifically the erector spinae muscles. Now these muscles, once you've arrived in your tummy, they can be quite temperamental. So if you, again, are working with soreness in your back, this is the one we kind of leave until everything settles down again. So if it's feeling accessible for you, I'd like for you just to begin by stacking your forehead, placing your forehead on your hands, but please leave your head lifted for a moment. So stage 1 is just learning how to engage the back body without using the lower back muscles excessively. So what does that mean? It means we're trying to teach our back to utilize our glutes and our core muscles. So even though we're laying on our tummy muscles, we're still lifting up through the abdominal wall. So once you're ready, your head is down. You're going to tuck your toes. You'll charge your legs. And then I want you to really deliberately feel your glute muscles. So more so we're working glute max now. And then at the same time, could you think about lifting your navel towards your spine? Kind of like you're laying on cold steel and you suck the tummy up. So all I want you to feel with this level 1 is how you are working through your legs, through your glute max, and through your core, so pelvic floor and the abdominals. And just getting that feeling of holding, co-contracting. One more breath before gently releasing your knees, your toes, and then pop yourselves up into Sphinx pose, please. So anytime we need a little breather, this is where we come. Unless, of course, your back is not loving extension. Sometimes that is absolutely the case when things are a little bit aggravated. So just working with your own body. Stage 2, we're going to create the same foundation, but we'll start with our hands just beside us. So we'll tuck the toes, we'll charge the legs, we'll engage the glutes, and we'll lift through the abdominals. And then from there, roll your thumbs up and just see if you could lift your elbows. So chest is slightly lifted, but we're not focusing on height. We're focusing on length and internal strength. On your in-breath, just reach forward any amount that your back will allow. And on your exhalation, pulling back. Inhale, lengthening. So the longer the lever, the more challenge there is. And as we pull back, deliberately squeezing into the muscles between our shoulders. Lengthening. Stay strong, stay stable. Exhale, a little tiny extra lift of the heart, a little squeeze between the shoulders. So these muscles that we're working at the moment, this is called your posterior chain, so the muscles on the back side of the body. And they are our postural muscles that really need to have endurance to hold us, to support us through our day. It is critical that we have strong muscles in the back of our body. And at the same time, critical that we break up our sitting time as much as we can. Science tells us, ideally, every 20 minutes to 30 minutes, we're up and moving, even if it's just for 1 minute. Taking 2 more of these repetitions. I can feel my back muscles starting to talk to me as well as my glutes. One more time, reach, pause, and hold. And as we drop back, a little juice of the legs, a little squeeze of the shoulders before gently releasing the head, releasing our efforts. Your head is down and no one can see you, so just let your hips rock gently from side to side. So those are our foundational movements to begin with. So we kept our lower back in a neutral position on those first core exercises. We also used bridging to help strengthen through our hamstrings and our glute max. We use side lying clam to strengthen glute med, glute min as well, and the shoulder stabilizers with the core. And then we laid onto our abdominals to really deliberately bring more strength into our posterior chain in an anti-gravitational position, so working against gravity. Take one more breath in your stillness. And then when you're ready, I'd love for you just to press yourselves either into Sphinx pose or into Child's pose or a little bit of both. So there's mobility that needs to be pursued in flexion, in extension, in rotation, and lateral flexion. And there's strength that needs to be pursued in those movements as well. A strong body without mobility is definitely at risk for injury, and a flexible body without strength is very much in danger of injury as well. So we want to be strong and flexible with great mobility, beautiful posture, and really deliberately architecting our day so that we are taking movement breaks as often as possible. Take one more breath into your child's pose. And then just slide yourself up into a seated position. And we'll just meet where we began. Easy cross leg. Stacking our shoulders over our hips. Feeling equal and even upon the earth. And I want you to really deliberately lengthen through your spine. Our chin draws slightly in, our shoulders draw slightly back and down. And there's this slight little bit of tone in our abdominals that supports us in this position. Just taking one more breath with your eyes closed. And then with our hands to our heart center, celebrating our bodies, celebrating each other, and celebrating technology that allows us to connect wherever we are in the world. From my heart to yours, namaste.